The Fred Factor by Mark Sanborn. I was told once that the Fred Factor is like the wow factor of a person, or like the one example of going the extra mile that couldn't possibly go unnoticed. It's a very unique concept for a book. You'll run into books with chapters about this by people like Grant Cardone or Sally Hogshead, but never full books. An old coworker actually recommended this book to me, which is rare because I spend so much time talking about the books in this channel that the people I talk to about books are really just you guys, not my coworkers or really anyone else. Other than my fiance if I have my nose into an audiobook and something's really pissing me off. But this is more of a free form book review, so I'm not going to talk about specific chapters. The actual chapters are so short and the book itself is so short in general. I mean, the Fred Factor can't be that complicated of a concept, could it? But let's go over the Fred Factor. I'm going to go over my thoughts on it, things I learned, things I liked, things I wasn't so crazy about, standout quotes from the book, who I recommend this book to, and what books to maybe check out next. And might I add, the ultimate drinking game is taking a shot every time I say the word book or books in the beginning of a review. Just so you guys know, there are affiliate links in the description, and if you buy anything through those links, like maybe this book, that's a shot. I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, then please make sure to smash that like button. The author, Mark Sanborn, began by talking about the first time he met a Fred, who happens to be a mailman he had knock on the door when he moved to Washington Park, a beautiful neighborhood in Denver. Okay, so it's not just a factor, guys. I repeat, the Fred Factor is not just a factor. It's not merely the variety of a factor. I'm losing my voice. It's not merely the variety of a factor, but an actual Fred is involved. Isn't that fascinating? Fascinating Fred factoring factor Fred. Books. With the amount of time that Sanborn traveled at a time, when he met this Fred who had these suggestions about how he as a mailman is going to take care of Sanborn, Sanborn was like, is this guy actually with the Postal Service? Seems like he takes his job so seriously. In a really good way, of course. And after they met, he started talking about Fred in his speaking engagements, and everyone became obsessed with Fred. The more I say Fred, the more I think about Fred Burger, that one character from a show? I don't even know. But like, you know, how can I be more like Fred? I want to be more like Fred. He later came to realize that Freds are everywhere, but every one of them is an individual in their own way. Now, the first thing I noticed is that when you hear all of these examples of excellent out-of-the-box customer service, is the further I get into it, the more I have these light bulbs of like, maybe there's a way I can apply this to my customer service. I'm in sales. Your neurons start to fire and wire together like, how can I apply this? And if the author did this on purpose, he laid these examples out in a way that he expects the reader or listener to start doing this. Seriously, Sanborn, well done. Also, the further I got into the book, the more impressed I was that this all came from a freaking postman. This alone is pretty astounding, you have to admit. And it does send a message to me that I think at least he wanted to make pretty clear. Anyone can do this, and anyone can make a difference by making themselves stand out as a representative in service. Nothing against postmen. I mean, it's not an easy job, seriously. That is the backbone of more traditional cross-state, cross-country communication in America. I would consider it totally essential. However, post people don't get the amount of credit that celebrities or influencers or politicians or what have you tend to get for what they do, but literally anyone can do this in their occupation. The more it involves a customer's experience, the more it applies. Some tips for adding value, and this is just some of them. Tell the truth. People value this more than they used to. Practice personality power. Practicing genuine enthusiasm. Attract through artistry. Pay attention to what is aesthetically pleasing to others and make it happen. Meet the needs in advance. Keep an eye out for what issues people might experience and find a way to address them in advance. Add the good stuff like enjoyment, sweets, humor, magic tricks, enthusiasm, etc. Subtract the bad stuff like waiting or mistakes that your customers would have to pay for otherwise, irritation, etc. You get many ideas in a human way that's very digital age friendly, making things convenient, easy, and fun for people who pursue your services, and those things keep people coming back time and time again. You also learn about fostering an environment where being a Fred is the norm, or as Sanborn puts it, the environment is a Fred oasis. This helps pull from the book the importance of consistent and high quality customer service training. Your skills skyrocket when you spend a certain amount of time filling your brain with just like how to provide unmatched customer service on a consistent day-to-day basis. I train for 45 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That is not including these books, but almost none of these books are about customer service, and I have my own Kool-Aid that I like to drink, or whatever the saying is. When he was talking about teaching people to think and perform like a Fred, it all reminded me of something I heard in Ray Kroc's memoir, Grinding It Out. That's the very enthusiastic Fred-like guy who basically took McDonald's and turned it into the world's most powerful fast food restaurant. Grinding It Out came out almost 50 years ago. And I agree with this today more than any other day of my life. I just turned 26, and I felt this way when I started working after high school at 18. He said that he doesn't believe that younger people nowadays learn to enjoy hard work. When I think about this, I think about like learning to have fun with yourself and others, almost like a flow state. If you've checked out that book, Flow by Csikszentmihalyi, I'll drop a link to my review in the description. But like, think about it. When's the last time you were at work and you were actually having a really fun time? I think that's a good question for someone to ask themselves. I mean, like, think about how much time you spend at work. What's the point of that if you're not even having fun? You shouldn't just get money for the amount of time and energy that you put into that, right? You should be getting and feeling more positive energy out of it. And you can take that positive energy home and you can share it with your loved ones. Obviously not specifically about that work, but Sanborn revolves this book around just about anything you can imagine that the Fred factor entails and more, as maybe you could expect from a Fred. Overall, this might be one of the shortest book reviews I've done in a long time, from the unique concept to how the author executed it and so much more. The Fred Factor truly is a classic that was just waiting for itself to happen. It's extremely fun. The author seems like someone who really practices what he preaches, and the whole thing seems really marketable too. Something that you could make an entire franchise out of, like the 5 Love Languages or Surrounded by Idiots. Quotes: "The objective is to outthink your competition rather than outspend them. If honesty didn't exist, someone should invent it as the best way of getting rich. If it is possible that you're making significant impressions on others and don't even know it. Uninspired people rarely do inspired work. The best payback is to pay it forward." Direction 1. Now, I rarely talk about work in these videos, but we do have a rep who comes in and talks to us every few months about what's going on with the brand and what directions it's heading in. She's super nice, she's fantastic at her job, and I'll bet you that she's checked this book out before. But the other day she came in and was basically explaining to us that as the future approaches, a few large changes in the industry are taking place in the product, and the way that this affects everything else in the industry is going to say that the very primary thing that ultimately determines whether someone buys from you or a competitor is the customer experience you provide. Period. It's almost as if we as salespeople are becoming a secondary product. And when the prices and products are all exactly the same, that secondary product is the differentiator. It's not just the only thing you can control, but also use to catapult your production and result onto higher plateaus of quantity and quality. If using this secondary product sounds important to you, I definitely recommend checking this book out. Direction 2. I didn't write a direction 2. I don't know why, but based on what I said in the first paragraph of this book, I would probably say there's some really interesting customer service stuff scattered throughout Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. Really, really interesting, like $1 million stuff, like $1 million examples. And also fascinated by Sally Hogshead for some sort of branding stuff. The Fred Factor by Mark Sanborn. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.